Hi guys, and welcome back to the Crochet Tour YouTube channel. In today's video I'm bringing you another new crochet tutorial, and this time it's an Animal Crossing tutorial. This one was actually requested by Lauren on Facebook, so thank you Lauren for your request. And this is Flurry that I've made, so here he is. Or actually I say he, I'm not sure whether it's a female or male villager, so I should look that up. But yeah, this is Flurry, and from the back. So the good thing with this pattern is there's no felt pieces, so if you hate working with felt, this is a good one for you. Everything's crocheted, or there's a little bit of embroidery thread that I've used for the mouth, but you can substitute that with brown yarn as well. So yeah, if you're interested in finding out how to make this, then please keep watching. For this tutorial you'll be needing aran weight yarn in the following colours. White, now this is the colour that you'll need the most of, and this is for the head and the body, and will be the most used colour that we do in this tutorial. Then you'll need red, that's going to be for the jumper. You'll need some light blue, that's going to be for the arms and the legs and the tail, and also the eyebrows. You'll be needing some peach pink, that's going to be for the snout. You'll need some bright pink, that's going to be for the inner ears. You'll need some black, that's going to be for the eyes. Then you'll need scrap amounts of green and yellow yarn. You could use embroidery thread as well, and this is going to be for adding the details to the jumper. The details to the jumper are also going to be in white, but we've already got a lot of white yarn, so you probably have enough to do that as well. Then you'll be needing some embroidery thread in brown. You could use yarn for this, but this is just to add the detail to the snout. As I mentioned, you could use some thinner yarn for this, and that would work perfectly fine as well. Then you'll be needing your crochet hook. I've got a 4mm crochet hook to go with my aran weight yarn, but if you're using a heavier or lighter weight of yarn, you can size up or down as required. You'll need some stuffing. This is just a small amount to demonstrate. You'll need a lot more than this. You'll be wanting a stitch marker. I just use an offcut of yarn for this. You'll need your yarn needle, this is for sewing bits together. You'll need some scissors. You'll probably want some fabric glue for gluing the mouth in a smiling position. And then finally, you may want some pins to pin things in place as you're sewing them down. The head and the body are going to be crocheted as one piece. So we're going to start at the head using our white yarn, and we're going to do 6 single crochets in a magic circle for round 1. Okay, so that's round 1. Then for round 2 you're going to increase all the way around, and that'll get you up to 12 single crochets at the end of round 2. Okay, so that's round 2 complete. You should have 12 single crochets all the way around. I'm just going to talk you through the next few rounds, as they're just mixtures of single crochets and increases in each round, which you should know how to do. So for round 3 we're going to do single crochet, increase and repeat 5 more times to get us up to 18 single crochets. Round 4, 2 single crochet, increase, repeat 5 more times to get you up to 24. Round 5, 3 single crochet, increase, repeat 5 more times to get you up to 30. Round 6 to 7, single crochet all the way around. Round 8, 4 single crochet, increase, repeat 5 more times to get you up to 36. Rounds 9 to 11, single crochet all the way around. Round 12, 5 single crochet, increase, repeat 5 more times to get you up to 42. Then rounds 13 to 14, single crochet all the way around. I'll meet you when you're ready to start round 15, as we then need to be doing some decreases. I'm now ready to start round 15. So in this round we're going to be doing 5 single crochets and then a decrease, and we're going to be repeating that all the way around. So I'm going to start off with my 5 single crochets. So that's the first one. Just using my stitch marker to remind myself where the round started. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a decrease. So we're going to go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all loops on your hook. So I'll do that once more. So I'm going to do my 5 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to do my decrease. So as I mentioned, repeat that pattern all the way around, and that should get you down to 36 single crochets at the end of round 15. I've reached the end of round 15, this is what it's looking like, so I'm just going to talk you through the next few decrease rounds until we need to change to our red colour for the jumper. So round 16 we're going to do 4 single crochet decrease, repeat 5 more times to get down to 30 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 17, 3 single crochet decrease, repeat 5 more times to get down to 24 single crochets, and then round 18, 2 single crochet decrease, repeat 5 more times to get you down to 18 single crochets. So I'll meet you when you're about to do your final decrease of round 18, as that's when we need to change to our red colour and start working the jumper. I'm just about to do my final decrease of round 18 and I'm ready to change to my red colour, so I'm going to start the decrease as normal, but I'm going to grab my red yarn and pull through in red. So that's my colour change done. So now I'm going to start round 19. So for round 19 we're going to start doing some increases again. So we're going to do 2 single crochet increase and repeat that all the way around, and that will get us up to 24 single crochets at the end of the round. So I'll start off the round with you. So 1 single crochet, 2, and then I'm going to stop crocheting over those tails now and I'm going to do my increase. I'm going to cut my white tail and I'm going to continue and finish round 19. I've got to the end of round 19 and as you can see I've stuffed the head at this point, so you want to add some stuffing and you want to stuff fairly firmly. And I'm just going to talk you through the remaining rounds in our red colour until we need to change back to white. So for round 20 we're going to do 3 single crochet increase and repeat 5 more times to get us up to 30 single crochets. Then for rounds 21 to 25, so 5 rounds in total, we're going to single crochet all the way around, and I'll meet you when you're going to do your final single crochet of round 25, as we'll then change back to white. I'm about to do my final single crochet of round 25, and in this I'm going to be changing to white. Okay, so now we're ready to start round 26. So in this round we're going to be doing something slightly different. We're going to be single crocheting all the way around, but in the back loops only. So the back loop is this one, the one furthest away from you. So I'll just show you the first few single crochets. So I'm just going to be doing that all the way around and I'll meet you when that's finished. So I've completed round 26 and this is what it's looking like. There's just a couple more rounds to do now before we start splitting off for the legs. So for round 27 you're just going to single crochet all the way around, but in both loops this time, so going back to crocheting as usual. And then in round 28 you're going to do 3 single crochet decrease and repeat that 5 more times to get you down to 24 at the end of the round. So I'll meet you when you've finished round 28. Just completed round 28, so now all I'm going to do is do a couple of extra single crochets, so 2 more single crochets after the end of round 28, and this puts me in the correct position to start creating the legs. So make sure that you grab your light blue yarn, as we're going to need that soon, and let's get making the legs. So for the first leg, we're going to start off by working 8 single crochets, and I would recommend that you definitely mark the first one so you can remember where the leg starts. So that's round 1 complete. Then for round 2, we're just going to single crochet all the way around again, so 8 single crochets, and obviously your first single crochet will be in this marked stitch over the other side, and that's how we kind of create the round for the legs. So I'm just going to remove my stitch marker, go into that single crochet, try and make quite a tight first single crochet for round 2. And then I'm going to reinsert my stitch marker, and then I'm going to work the 7 remaining single crochets, but in that final single crochet of this second round you want to change to light blue, so I'll show you when I do that. This is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and now we're going to change to light blue, so grab your light blue yarn and let's do the final round. So I'm just going to go into this next single crochet and pull through in light blue. It can get a little bit fiddly at this point, so just take your time. But now we're going to do the final round, which is going to be 2 single crochet decrease, 2 single crochet decrease. So I'm just going to remove my stitch marker and start doing that. So 1, 2, and I'm going to cut my white yarn at this point to get out of the way. Then I'm going to do my decrease. Then going to repeat all of that again. So 1, 2, and then a decrease. Okay, so now you want to cut your light blue yarn, leaving a little bit of a tail, and I'll show you how to close up this hole now. So I've got my yarn needle here, I'm just going to thread the tail through there, and then I'm going to weave that tail through the front loop of each of those 6 single crochets. So, and pull as I do, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and just pull tightly and you should see the bottom of the leg close up like that. Now I'm going to leave this tail for now and I'm going to weave it in a little bit later, but yeah, this is what it looks like when that first leg is done. So what I'm going to do now is add some stuffing to the body and this first leg, and then we can move on to making the second leg. So now that I've added the stuffing, I'm ready to start my second leg. So we're going to do the exact same steps again, but obviously you need to know which stitch to reattach your white yarn into to start off with. So we're going to be reattaching this into the 5th single crochet after the final single crochet of the first round of the first leg. So this was the final stitch that we worked into for the first round of the first leg. You can tell because you can see that this stitch is attached to this one. So I'm going to count 5 after this, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this is the single crochet that I'm going to reattach my white yarn into. And then I'm going to simply repeat rounds 1 to 3 exactly the same for this leg here. And if you're at all unsure about which stitch to reattach your white yarn into, just remember that what we're trying to achieve here is 2 legs that have a round of 8 on either side, and then there should be a 4 single crochet gap between the 2 legs on both the front and the back. So that should hopefully help you to check that you've attached your yarn in the right place. So I'll meet you when you've completed your second leg. I've completed both legs now, and I added some additional stuffing to that second leg just to make sure it's got a little bit of stuffing in it. So now what I'm going to do is get rid of these yarn tails that we have at the bottom of the leg. So I'm just going to weave the yarn through to the sort of back of the jumper, and then I'll snip it. Now that that's done, we just need to close up this hole between the legs. So grab some scrap white yarn and let's do that next. So I've got a small length of my white yarn on my yarn needle, and I'm just going to be whip stitching the bit between the legs closed. Okay, and now that this is done, once again I'm just going to weave those yarn tails through the body to kind of secure them in place. And then I'm just going to cut them. So the main head, body and legs are complete now, so you should have something that looks a little bit like this. So the next thing that I'm going to do is to add the kind of flower detail to the jumper. So for this we're going to be needing our scrap amounts of yellow, green and white yarn, and it's completely up to you how detailed you make this embroidery. I'm not going to make it too detailed because I don't have that much patience for it, but if you want to make it more detailed than this, then it's completely up to you. What I'm trying to achieve is something that looks a bit like a daisy in the middle, and then something that looks a little bit like leaves either side of it. So I'm going to start off making the centre of my daisy with this yellow yarn. And I'll deal with all of the yarn tails at the end. Okay, so that's literally just going to be the centre of my daisy. Now I'm going to grab my white yarn and make the petals. I'm going to do 5 petals around the centre of the daisy. Okay, so I think that's fine. It's definitely not perfect, but it's good enough for what I need it to be. So that's all of the white parts done. So now I'm just going to grab my green yarn and add the leaves. I'm going to try and make them symmetrical on either side. It's completely up to you what you do. I think I'm just going to leave it at that. Yep, I think I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to just get rid of all of those yarn tails. All I'm going to do with the yarn tails, and I won't film all of this because it will just be boring and repetitive, but I'm just going to weave them through the body a few times like this. And maybe once more. Then once I'm happy I've done it enough times, I'll just cut the yarn. I'm going to just do that for the remaining tails. We're going to move on to making the ears now. So I've made one and I'm going to make the second one with you now. So you're going to need your white yarn for this. And in round one, we're going to start off by doing 8 single crochets in a magic circle. So that's round 1, and then for rounds 2 to 4, so 3 rounds in total, you're just going to single crochet all the way around, so I'll meet you when you finish round 4. Okay, so I finished round 4, this is what it's looking like. You're going to want to cut your yarn leaving a tail for sewing. I didn't actually need to cut mine because I was nearly running out of my white yarn, so I'm just going to pull that tail through, and I've got my 2 ears now. So now we're going to move on to making the inner ear pieces out of the bright pink yarn. So the inner ear pieces are very small and quick to make. This is one of them. I'm going to do the other one with you now. So we're going to be working in rows for this with our bright pink yarn. So you're going to start off by doing a chain of 3. Then you're going to work 2 single crochets across the chain, starting from the second chain from hook. So that will be this one here. You can work in these front loops if you want, but I prefer to work in the back loops, so that's what I'm going to do. Doesn't fundamentally change anything, just slightly changes the appearance. I'm going to be crocheting over the tail as well so that I can secure that in place and then snip that afterwards. Okay, and I usually give the tail a little pull at this point as well, just to make sure that everything is nice and tight. So then I'm going to chain 1, turn, do a decrease, and that is it. So I'm going to cut my yarn, leaving a tail for sewing, and then I'm going to cut this tail because I crocheted over it, so that's fine to cut. And then come back once you've got 2 of these and I'll show you how to sew these to the ears. As you can see, I've sewn down one of the inner ear pieces. I'm going to do the other one with you now. So I've got my main earpiece, just going to flatten that. And then I've got my yarn needle and I've got my other pink inner earpiece. You can use a pin if you want to keep it in place, but I'm just going to hold it in place with my hand. I'm just going to be doing a running stitch all the way around this piece to sew it in place. So I'm going through another white loop, back out through a pink loop, then I'm going to select another pink loop, go through this, into another white loop, and then I'm going to go white to pink again, and so on, going pink to white, then white to pink. So I'm going to do that all the way around, and I'll meet you when I finish that. Finished sewing the inner ear piece down, so I'm just going to weave that yarn tail through the ear, and you can either just leave it on the inside of the ear or you can snip it, so I'm just going to snip mine. So once you've sewn down the inner ear pieces to both of the ears, we're now going to sew those ears to the head. I've sewn down one of the ears, I'm going to do the other one now. So these are going to be positioned roughly 2 rounds apart from each other. So as you can see at the top here, this is one round and this is the other round. So I'm going to roughly position the second ear about here. You can use some pins to pin it in place if you want to, but I'm not going to be doing that. So I'm just going to be starting to sew this down, and I'm going to do a whip stitch all the way around to do that. So I'm going to go like this, so going through stitches of the ear, then into the head, then back to the ear, then back through the head. And I'm going to continue doing that all the way around, and I'll meet you when I finish that. I finished sewing down the ear and I just weaved the yarn tail through the ear, and I'm going to snip that and do the same with the other tail that I haven't yet snipped. So hopefully you've got something that looks a little bit like this now. I've skipped ahead and done the rounds for the snout, which I'm just going to talk you through now, as they're just mixtures of single crochets and increases in the rounds. So round 1 is 5 single crochets in a magic circle. Round 2, increase all the way around to get you up to 10 single crochets. Then round 3, do 3 single crochets, an increase, 2 single crochets, an increase, and then 3 single crochets, and that'll get you up to 12 at the end of round 3. So you should do that in your peach coloured yarn, and you should have something that looks like this when you've completed that. Come back when you've completed it and I'll show you how to finish this off, and then we'll sew it to the head. So once you've completed the 3rd round, you're going to want to cut your yarn, leaving a tail for sewing. And then we're going to finish off with a fake single crochet. So we're going to flip our work, skip the next single crochet, go into the one after that, pull your yarn tail through, then go back to that final single crochet of the 3rd round in the closest loop to us currently, so this one, and then pull that yarn tail through again. And there you can see that we've created this fake single crochet that just makes it harder to tell where the round ended. So you're going to want to position your snout this way up so that the increases are at the top of the snout, and then we're going to be pinning this to the face and sewing it down now. I've pinned the snout to the bottom of the face in the middle, and I'm just going to whip stitch all the way around to sew this down. Okay, so I'll meet you when you've finished sewing this all the way around. I finished sewing the snout down, so I'm just going to weave the yarn tail through the snout and then cut that. And now we're ready to use our brown embroidery thread to sew the mouth onto the snout. So for the mouth, I'm just going to create two kind of U shapes. So I'm just going to go through the centre of the snout like this, and back out through this stitch here. Make sure that you leave quite enough embroidery thread like this so that you can have a loop like this. This is where we're going to need to use our glue, by the way, to position this in place. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So something that looks like that. Then you can grab your glue and just add a little dab of glue so that we can position the mouth how we want it. So I'm going to add one dab here and then one here. Then I'm going to just press the mouth down onto that glue and that will position it in place. And if you have any messy bits like that little bit of glue that I've got there, what you can do is you can actually use some tweezers or something like that afterwards to tidy that up once the glue has dried. But I'm going to leave it like that for now to dry, and then I'll meet you when that's done. So the glue has dried and I used my tweezers to get rid of the messy bits of dried glue that were around the mouth, so now it looks fairly neat. So the final thing to do is just to weave your embroidery thread tails through the body until you're happy with it, and then we can cut those. So next we're going to move on to the eyes. I've gone ahead and made the first eye. I'm going to do the other one with you now. So you're going to need your black yarn for this. So we're simply going to do 6 single crochets in a magic circle. Then you're going to cut your yarn, leaving a tail for sewing. And we're going to finish off with an additional fake single crochet to close off the eye and make it look a bit neater. So I'm going to flip my work, and similarly to what we did before for the snout, but slightly differently this time, instead of skipping the next single crochet and going into the one after that, I'm actually going to go into the next single crochet and pull my yarn tail through. I'm going to go back to the final single crochet of the first round, or we only did one round, but yeah, and I'm going to go into the closest loop to me currently, and I'm going to pull that yarn tail back through. So this time, instead of creating a fake single crochet that sits over an existing real single crochet, we've created an additional fake single crochet. So you should actually have, if you count, you've got 7 single crochets in the round now, including the fake one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then our fake one here. And the reason we do that is just when we're doing these small rounds like this, it's a bit neater to add in an additional fake single crochet than to do one over an existing single crochet, because otherwise the sort of lines of the single crochet are a bit too long and it's a bit too obvious what we've done. So yeah, so that's how we're going to finish that off neatly. So come back once you've got 2 eyes like this, and I'll show you how we're going to sew them to the head and also add in the eyelash and eyebrow details. I've done one of the eyes, so I'm going to do the other one with you now. So you're just going to want to pin it in place above the snout. And firstly we're going to be whip stitching all the way around to sew that eye down. So I'll meet you when I finish that. When you've finished sewing the eye down, you're just going to want to get your yarn in a good position to then add some eyelash detail. So you're literally just going to do a little line coming out of the eye like this. And then you can cut that piece of yarn when you've done that. Then you can also weave this little yarn piece through the eye and cut that as well. And you can get rid of the pin as well. So now all that's left to do is to add a little white dot like on the other side. So I'm just going to weave some white yarn through to the eye and then add a white line. Like so. So once you've done that, the final thing to do is to grab some more of your light blue yarn, and we're going to do the eyebrows. And just to say that once again, if you have any stuffing that's come through when you've done the white line, you can use some tweezers to remove that, so I'm going to do that now as well. I've added the eyebrow on one side, I'm going to do the other one with you now, so we're just going to do a couple of lines above the eye with our light blue yarn. So your eyebrow should look something like this. You may just need to move the yarn around a little bit to get it in the position that you like. For the arms, I've skipped ahead and done all of the rounds, so I'll just talk you through them now because they're quite simple. Round 1 is just 7 single crochets in a magic circle in your light blue colour. Round 2, single crochet all the way around, then change to red, and rounds 3 to 7, single crochet all the way around. So I'll meet you when you finish round 7, as that's where I'm currently at, and there's just a couple more things that we need to do to finish off the arm. So once you finish round 7, all that's left to do is to turn and then work 4 additional single crochets, and this will just create the appearance of like a shoulder when we come to sew this down. Once you've done that, just cut your yarn, leaving a tail for sewing. And if you haven't already, you're going to want to add some stuffing at this point. So come back once you've got 2 arms and I'll show you how to sew these to the body. I've already sewn down the first arm, I'm going to do the second one with you now. So I'm just going to position it so that it's roughly symmetrical with the other side. You can use pins, but I'm not going to be using pins, I'm just going to hold it in place with my hand. And what I'm going to do first is whip stitch along the top to sew the top of the arm down. Okay, so once I've done that, I'm then going to sew down a couple of additional stitches at the front of the arm. And then I'm going to move my yarn tail through to the back of the arm and do a couple at the back as well. Just like that. Now, in terms of those inside stitches that we haven't sewn down, you can go across and sew those down if you want to. Personally, I find that it can sometimes make the arm stick out a little bit like that, and I'm not too keen on how that looks. So if you want to make this piece more secure, if you know, for example, a child might want to play with it or something, then what you can do is move your yarn tail to kind of the middle of the arm and sew down a few stitches in the middle, and that should keep the arm positioned next to the body, and it should prevent you from being able to actually move it. So if I just do a couple stitches like this, and you can do more than that if you want. I know I'm just going to keep mine on display, so I'm not too bothered about how secure it is. Then I'm just going to bring that yarn tail back up through the arm, and as you can see it now, because I haven't done it on this side, so you can kind of see the difference there. On this side it's staying flat to the body, whereas on this side this arm can be moved up and down, so that's the difference. So then you can just cut your yarn tail once you've done with the sewing. And then the final step is going to be to add the tail, so let's do that now. Once again, I've just skipped ahead on the actual crochets. There's no new techniques or anything needed for this. So in your light blue colour, all you're going to do is round 1, 4 single crochets in a magic circle, then round 2, single crochet increase to bring you up to 6. So I'll meet you when you've got to that point and show you how to finish this off and then sew it to the body. So in terms of finishing this off, for the most neat look, I would recommend doing a fake single crochet, but because the tail is at the back of the body and it's less important to me how neat it looks, I'm personally just going to slip stitch into the next stitch to finish this off. So I'm going to do a slip stitch and then just cut my yarn, leaving enough of a tail for sewing. So then what we can do is just grab Flurry and position this on the back with a pin, and then we can start sewing this down. I'm just going to whip stitch all the way around to sew this down. You can add stuffing if you want, by the way, but because this is such a small piece, I find it pretty much sticks out by itself anyway, and you don't really need to add stuffing, but you can if you want. Probably just remove the pin now because we're nearly done. Okay, so that is completely sewn down, so I'm just going to weave that yarn tail through the tail and then snip that. And that is it. So I'll show you a better view of the completed flurry, and that'll be the end of the video. So this is what my completed flurry looks like. I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.